Good day guys, so today I'm doing my first book wrap up of 2020, which is very exciting. I think I've kicked off to a decent start in terms of how many books I've read and like overall enjoyment of the quality of books that I've read. So hopefully this is a telling matter for the year to come in terms of reading. Hopefully I will secretly hit, even though it's no secret, 100 books this year, but I don't know, you never know how the year's going to pan out. So yeah, my Goodreads goal at the minute is I think 90 books, because last year I managed to hit 91, closest I've ever gotten to 100, and my goal for last year was 85, so I surpassed that but didn't quite reach my secret aim, which again was not so secret. So yeah, this month I read a total of 5 books, so I'm going to quickly do reading breakdown now. I've added a few different ways of how I do it, just generally of late, and this reminds me I've got to update my page counter for January. So let's see, I have read no library books, no family friend loan books, no ARCs or anything like that, no ebooks. All of them have been physical, so that's 5 physical. I've read no YA fantasy, no YA contemporary, no adult fantasy, 1 sci-fi, 1 middle grade, 1 genre fiction, no adult contemporary, and 2 non-fiction books. So again, overall total books I've read is 5. I have sort of just highlighted the general sort of genres that I can see a consensus of on my shelves. So like for example, adult contemporary I rarely read, but there's like the rare occurrence and I don't want to like not have that. I guess I could have had like an other theme, but I might have to add that eventually. We'll see. So I did have a TBR for winter. I think there's still 1 month. I think February counts as winter, doesn't it? And I have about 4 books to get to. I don't know if I'll finish them. If not, I'll just carry it over. I'm not really held up against like, oh god, I must finish these books because it's on my TBR. You guys know I'm a little bit laxy-daisy with reading all the books and TBRs and stuff. That's why I rarely set them. So the first book that I finished off in January was Big Elephants Are Useful, a compendium of mnemonics and idioms by S.J. Hartland. So I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It's like a random book that I found one time in a charity shop and I was like, that looks kind of cool, let me take it out. And honestly, it's been like 5-6 years until I decided to actually read it, and it's a bit weird. It says this fascinating collection provides hundreds of simple mnemonics to help you remember awkward spellings, grammatical rules and useful facts and figures. It also wanders through the weird and wonderful byways of English idioms where nothing means what it says. Would you be upset if someone said you were a sandwich short of a picnic? Or could you be described as someone who fell asleep in a greenhouse? If you want a little traditional wisdom or some cracking new insults, this book offers a treasure trove of curious, witty and downright obscure English idioms. So honestly, I found this, although weird, it was like kind of funny and quirky, so yeah, a little bit random there. I feel like it actually would really help people that are struggling to understand those random phrases that us Brits have. There's even like phrases that Australians have, and like kind of just what they mean in the breakdown. And again, you know, helping people perhaps that English is maybe their second language, getting those like grammatical details correct and stuff like that. It's a nice just little fun way to remember things, little notepad book sort of thing, like a pocket sized book to have on you. Just a little collection of those random little bits in here. So I don't really have anything like negative to say about it. It was just a bit random, a bit weird. Casually flicked through it, enjoyed it enough, but it's one that I'll probably be getting rid of. I don't think I need to have this on my shelf, and I'm trying to be a little bit more easier on unhauling stuff. So yeah, I don't think I'll hold on to this much longer. It's been sitting on my shelf for how many years, and it wasn't like the most inspiring thing I've ever written. I don't write, so that's a lie. Next up, I finished Llewellyn's 2019 Witches Felidae Almanac, Holidays and Law, Spells, Rituals and Meditations, which I gave 5 stars. Honestly, this is like a kind of non-fiction general thing. It's basically like an almanac, like a little, as it says, spell a day book for you to use as like your biggest shadows if you want. It's kind of like, I look at it in a way like you can write notes in it and stuff, so it's kind of like an inspirational, set you up for the day sort of thing. So I just kind of give you like a background of what it is, because it can explain it better, because it's not a story or nothing. It says, bring more magic into your life with 365 quick and powerful spells. Transform your magical practice, improve your daily life, and so much more with the When Ends 2019 Witching Felidae Almanac. Spellcasters of all levels can use these easy bewitchments, recipes, and rituals and meditations. Created by popular practitioners, and then it's got like names of people. These spells require minimal supplies and are helpful for every occasion. Use your convenient cross-reference table to quickly find the spells you desire, or follow along day by day and work the spells that are most relevant to you. Discover beginner-friendly advice on the best time, place and tools for performing each spell. Apply astrological data and daily colour and instance recommendations to enhance each day's magic. And with the space to jot down notes, this unique spell book can be used as a book of shadows. Honestly, I used it more for like where it gives you hints and tips on candles and colour magic and that sort of stuff to just get you ready for the day. I feel like generally it put me in a good mood and ready for life. And just generally, I love learning all the witchy things. That's my sort of vibe. So obviously it's not going to be for everyone, but it put me in a positive frame of mind. I didn't read these daily as it sort of implies. Most of the time I read them like for the whole month, or like sometimes a couple of months. I didn't pick it up all the time. Sometimes I was like a couple of months behind. I'll just catch up and read it. It's one of those, it's like really easy. Read it however you feel like reading it. Pick it up like in a couple of years if you want to. Like it might not be relevant for that like particular year, day or whatever, but the writing inside is nice and helpful. And I don't know, I've had some favourites that I've actually dog-eared. I never dog-eared things. This kind of thing I wanted to. I now have sticky tabs, so I'll probably go back at some point and sticky tab my favourite parts. Oh, I will say one of the cons for that is I wasn't always in the mood to pick it up, so it did take me a little longer. I mean, the idea is to read it throughout the year, daily, if you want to follow it specifically, but it took me a couple of days into the new year because I didn't pick it up for a point. And I prefer reading fiction, stuff like that, but still, I mean, if I'd have read it like a day every day, like it suggested, I probably would have finished it in time, but yeah, that's just my little thing. After that, I finished Winter Magic. It's curated by Abby Elphinstone, and it's basically a collection of short wintry stories by I think 11 or 12 authors all in all, including Abby Elphinstone. So this one I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. I will say that I definitely enjoyed reading from new to me authors and kind of getting inspired to pick up other authors that stuck out to me, some of their own like longer works. Also, I must mention, sorry if you can hear the washing machine. I don't know how loud it like translates to camera, how loud it picks it up. And also sorry if you didn't notice it was on and have now drawn your attention to it. I really enjoyed the cold theme of this, very wintry, very atmospheric for that type of season. It had some great short stories in this. I have a few that I would definitely recommend checking out, and perhaps even checking out the authors at a later date that wrote these. So there is The Voice in the Snow, Someone Like the Snow Queen, and Into the Mountain. All 3 of those I really did enjoy. I will say though that I feel like I probably would have liked it that a little bit more if I had read it before Christmas, or like the run up to Christmas, beginning of December, that sort of time, because it's not just wintry, it does kind of, I mean, I should have looked at the stereotypical Christmas trees in here, but it's wintry, it's like alpine and all that in here. It might not be the right word, but it was a lot of the themes centered around Christmas and Christmas Eve and that sort of thing. And obviously reading this in January, where I'm kind of over that vibe, it was a little bit too Christmassy in some cases for me. I will say as well, I was a bit flumped that I wasn't too impressed with Abby Elphinstone's short story, unfortunately, as honestly she's the person that kind of drew me into wanting to read this collection. I've mentioned previously before that I think last year I read her World Book Day short story, and I was like, wow, I need to read more from this author. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this might be another stepping stone into her writing style. And unfortunately her short story was one of the least impressive for me, but that doesn't deter me from carrying on and finding more of her works and checking those out at another point in time. Sticking with the winter theme a little bit now, I picked up Winter by Ali Smith. It makes me chuckle that both of these authors, both of the books are winter. I kind of picked it up because I wanted to get all the winter books that I had or that I could see on my shelf, like kind of out of the way before having to wait a whole year, because if it's seasonal like this I kind of want to read it at that time period. And I like that they both begin with A and they've got 3-letter first names. I don't know, that makes me chuckle so much. But yeah, so this is Winter by Ali Smith. I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. So at the back here, let me just read the back because it doesn't really translate to what it's about, I don't know. So, winter, bleak, frosty wind, earth is iron, water is stone, so the old songs goes. When 4 people, strangers and family, converge on a 15-bedroom house in Cornwall for Christmas, will there be enough room for everyone? So, I will definitely say that it left me certainly intrigued, if that's the word. It had some beautiful words. And some interesting character studies and discussions on like humanity, for example. But it definitely gave me a very uncomfortable reading experience. There was no speech marks, there was like oddly paced out paragraph phrasing. And understand this random kind of non-concluded supernatural side of the story that was like randomly there for the like beginning third of the book. And I also felt swamped under the heavy like political conversations that a lot of the time kind of went over my head and was just too heavy for me to fully understand. But yeah, it was kind of feeling more like a rating of 2, but by the end the characters themselves I was kind of interested into where they would go, how it would wrap up. A very unsatisfactory closure. I don't feel like we got closure, but it was just a weird story. And honestly, I would say if you're somewhat intrigued about this, maybe do a little bit more research, or don't if you prefer to go into things not knowing anything. But the back really just vaguely touches the surface of the themes and development of what this book really entails, I guess you could say. Yeah, so don't just go off with the back synopsis, because it really feels almost like nothing like that, even though it's kind of like the vaguest, briefest idea of it ever. And lastly, I read the BBC's Doctor Who Time Lord Fairy Tales by Justin Richards and illustrated by David Ward. This I gave a 3-star. There were lots of 3 stars this month. I think all but one was a 3-star read for me this month. I mean, for me 3 stars is average. It's okay, it's decent. Sometimes a 3-star I can really enjoy it, but it's just lacking something to give it that oomph. And other times a 3-star is just a general surface enjoyment that I wouldn't think much about, but I also wouldn't want to get rid of, you know. So yeah, it's a mix of those sort of vibes throughout this January really. So this had basically I think 15 short story collections set in the Time Lord universe, basically a science fiction spin on classic fairy tales that we know. I thought that some of the twists of classic fairy tales that we know were quite fun. Some of them actually felt pretty unique, especially if I hadn't really heard of the original story before. There were like 3 or 4 stories that I didn't know where they originated from. Like I hadn't recognised the sort of play on words on the title, and I didn't recognise the content, so those were the ones I ended up kind of liking usually more than the others, because it felt fresher and more unique to me. Generally, I'd say though the overall vibe was kind of mediocre. The conclusions of all of the stories were definitely rushed, with no like satisfaction really. I would have felt like I would have preferred more time taken to wrap it up and kind of make it feel finished, even if that had meant getting rid of a couple of stories in the collection. I would have preferred that, but yeah, that's just my thoughts there. So those are the 5 books that I managed to read during January. It's a little bit of a mix, a little bit of a mashup. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you've been reading, what books you hope to read if you have like a monthly TBR. I think I'm kind of trying to aim on a seasonal TBR if I feel fit for that, like if I care to do that. So I'm just going to slowly go through the rest of my, I said the rest twice, the rest, now 3rd time, of my winter TBR I think, and just any other book that I feel like picking up and reading. But yeah, speak to you in another video soon. Bye.